Welcome back, everyone, to the Quake Pro League. Back with Flea and Wheat and myself once again, and now at the final matchup of the evening between Av3k and cypher. We just had Benga versus Razy. That in itself was just incredible, to say the least. And now we've got Av3k cypher as the final matchup of the evening. And I'm going to start with you, Flea. Thoughts on what you think is going to happen here?
This should be a highlight to keep in mind going into the future. I mean, last time these two played each other was at the Stage 2 finals, and it was an extremely close game. cypher ended up winning 3-0, but I think it was just a 1 or 2 frag difference at most for every single map. And then when they played in the stage before that, it was Av3k who took home the win. So these two players are incredibly close to one another in terms of skill, very comparable in playstyle often as well. So this should be just as much as a banger as the previous one.
Yeah, and you know, it's also, I mean, breaking it down, Flea, you did a great job. There's some other areas of this where, like, cypher next week plays Kilson, right? So winning here and getting up one more, that will then be the match to determine who takes the top seed in EU. Av3k has been talking about his own rededication to the game. Same with cypher. So we're kind of seeing two renewed Quake talents here. Kind of, you know, they've always been battling for those top spots, but both of them have expressed, whether here on interviews or via Twitter or whatever, that, you know, this is their time to shine. So when you have two of those people that are working so hard to be at the top of their game now clash, as Flea said, it's gonna be worth the wait. It's gonna be a treat.
And they're both great friends on top of that. So there may be some, in terms of their decision making, may have to double take on what they want to do, which is going to add another element to the mind games coming forward. But we will be checking the picks and bans very shortly just to determine exactly what could be coming up for these guys. And we are going to be starting off with Molten Falls, then going to Awoken, and then finally it will end on Vale. And, you know, a few talking points here, you know, with the Strog versus the Anarchy matchup, we know that's going to be a very explosive start. Both these players love Molten Falls, they enjoy it statistically, they've been very good on it as well. And you can see cypher's kept away from Corrupted Keep, Av3k's done the same, but for Deep Embrace. And going to Awoken as well. cypher selected that map in particular because every time we've seen him play like any opponent, it's either been a close affair or it's been one-sided for cypher. I mean, going to Vale, you know, pretty much anything happens depending on the start of that matchup as well, with the scale being bad. And cypher does have the Soul Axe. You have to see what shenanigans he does get up to. But Flea, I'll start with you. What do you think of these picks and bans so far?
The first thing that immediately comes to mind is the fact that there's not a single matchup where both players have identical stacks. Every single map, Molten, Awoken, and Vale, there's a difference. First, we get a heavy versus a light, Strog versus Anarchy. Then on Awoken, we've got, or a heavy, a medium versus a light. Same goes for Awoken. Again, Av3k prioritizing the mediums, Galena versus that Nyx. And then finally, on Vale of Nav, Av3k consistently going for the medium tier champions, whereas cypher then goes for Sorlag, a big body one. So that's already a stack disparity that is going to come into play on every single one of these arenas.
Yeah, and you know, it flip-flops back and forth a little bit. You know, the Nyx and Awoken will be really interesting as well with cypher. I mean, everyone always gets so excited to see him on a champ like that. But it's a great observation, Flea, and you know, frankly, like, it's not a match decider, but it's certainly something that everyone should be keeping an eye on, because we've seen, you know, Av3k favor these types of picks before. You know, cypher, I think he definitely picked based off of what he's comfortable with in his play style. So on both sides, I feel like both players are very comfortable with their picks, but now we're going to see how that actually translates to the action end of the game.
And seeing cypher ban the Athena as well. We've seen Av3k a couple weeks ago go absolutely ham with Athena against one of his opponents a few weeks back. I can't remember who it was exactly, but he did a phenomenal job with that champion on Awoken. So I think in terms of the map picks, I think both players are going to be very happy. Both of them are very good on Molten Falls. I'd say cypher's going to be pretty keen on Awoken anyway. And Vale is literally anyone's guess at that point. We know what Vale can be like on a lot of occasions, and depending on the scenarios they actually put themselves in. But I'm going to let you two crack on. I'm going to let you two cast this final so I could put my feet up and watch from the sidelines for once. So I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Great. Take care.
See you later, Lethal.
Flea, so, the other, we're just going to make Lethal stick around and
I'll stay for a bit longer.
Just he's not there.
I'll overstay my welcome
Just
here.
ignore him. He isn't there.
I can try cast if you want. It's fine.
Pretend. No, it's fine. The one thing that people that need to keep in mind is that Cypher's got multiple girlfriends that he's got to take care of and keep happy. So based off of his interview last week, we learned that. Of course, I'm kidding. But no, I just don't know which way this is going to go, right? We have seen phenomenal matches from both of these players, some absolutely just incredible play. And I just have no idea where it's going to land.
Yeah, indeed. This is too close to call. Damn it. Lethal managed to escape being roped into making a prediction.
He did.
So it comes down to us. Wheat. But chat, as we are jumping into it, I also saw some Endpoint fans in the chat. So guys, make yourself be heard. I want to see some ciphers. I want to see some love for Av3k as we are about to load into the first map of this series. We're kicking it off on Molten Falls, Anarchy versus Trog, two very fast champions. Wheat, any final thoughts before we kick it off?
Other than I hope we get as incredible as a game as what we saw in the last matchup. I mean, we're getting to the point in these series where, this is what we should be expecting. And I think this means we are going to have just a super explosive finals. So I don't have much to say off of that, but it looks like we are in game and going through Cypher's eyes. First, he's going to grab himself the rail and the heavy. And you mentioned speed, and I expect that we'll see quite a bit of it here in this matchup that will come into play in just about every single scenario from the start of the match to the middle, during control, and then obviously at the end, especially if we have a close matchup or if one player is trying to find another. And Jet comes out after Cypher does hit that rail. He goes in to the rail room and picks up that first frag. The confidence behind that play was very strong.
Very aggressive push. 100% railgun accuracy so far, 2 shots fired, both of them connected. That is what allowed Cypher to get that first frag on the board. Now there is a slight delay between the two items, but it isn't significant enough for either one of these players to already get control. Mega is going to be spawning first, and it is Cypher who's actually shutting off access very late to switch to the railgun. Takes a lot of damage. Av3k actually has an opportunity here, but look at that LG. That was blisteringly on point. And it will mean that Cypher actually just backs away and secures the Mega instead.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know that that's terrible for Cypher. He's going to be able to delay that Mega a little bit. He had at least somewhat of an armor stack, so it could have been a lot worse, definitely. But he kind of walked away from that one, disengaged at the right time. I think it was very smart. He's going to pick up that light as well. And now trying to attack back up here, using those injects every single time they are up. Fighting from the bottom. Peeker does come out, misses that rail. Unfortunately, another rail as well, but still keeping the pressure on. One final rocket comes out. It doesn't quite hit, and Av3k will disengage once again and head back over for that Mega.
It's a lot of respect coming out from these players. I really wasn't expecting Cypher to just give that up so clearly, because Av3k was railable, Cypher wasn't, and yet he still just backed off and went onto the Mega. Would have expected him to stick around, see if he could get that one final blast in, but there's a lot of mutual respect. They know what the other is capable of, and they definitely do not want to overextend at this point of this first map. Av3k is also being extremely aggressive with the peekers.
He is.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that one that we just saw happen in outside the rail room, definitely aggressive, and I think was the right play, but we saw Cypher kind of re-up on his health in that room, and if those bubbles weren't there, that could have actually been a kill. But in this side, Cypher now in the lead, and things have slowed down just a little bit. A lot more rail wars happening across the map, looking for those open opportunities to create space. And we do have quite a bit of time between our major items now, which could make for an interesting mid and late game. As Cypher still in the lead, now on the hunt, going to make his way over to the heavy. Well, he's not really going to push the issue here much. Actually, we'll find that it is wide open and grabs it.
Cypher now has full control. I think he was just trying to see if he could catch Av3k out before securing the heavy, just keeping it up as a bit of a buffer behind him in case he took damage. And now he's got a perfect rotation going on. Around 15 seconds between the items. Not that he really needs it as Anarchy, because he can move around the map so quickly. But still, this is extremely comfortable for Cypher. If he can keep this up, this rhythm that he's in right now, Av3k is going to have to make some serious moves to break the cycle.
Yeah, he's going to just need to be hitting rails all day as these two do exchange. The Mega is up. Rocket's coming down. Peeker once again easily dispatched. And the LG battle happens on top of the Mega, and it spawns just at the end. Cypher came out of that one with 38 health or 35 health, but he picked up that frag and is going to be safe off the spawn after getting the Mega as well. He once again grabs the heavy, and you know, his control of the major items looks remarkable there on the scoreboard as he's picked up 8 and 6 for heavy and Mega, as opposed to Av3k's 1 heavy and only 2 Megas.
Really good positioning there as well. Cypher getting the perfect read, knowing that Av3k is just gonna jump around the corner, stops him dead in his tracks with that LG trap. There's no escaping that. And now Cypher is 4 frags up already. And Av3k clearly isn't interested in sticking around. He wants to build that base stack, but he'll be forced into an engagement much sooner than he's comfortable with. Luckily for the Polish Prince, he kind of slips on by, makes it through the doorway, and then that Peeker gives him the cover he needs to survive, because that could have ended so much worse for him.
Yeah, it really could have. And I think Av3k's got to be feeling some frustration not really being able to find those rail shots that he needs to try to open things up and maybe even get aggressive. But, you know, Av3k's talked a lot about how he compares Quake to boxing, right? And how just throwing a flurry of blows is not always the answer. And I do feel like he's playing with that guard up very defensively, looking for those opportunities, as we're going to have Cypher steal away another light, grab that Mega, and set up for rotation again. A direct rocket, followed up by the rail. Beautifully done. Surprised Av3k there. And frag number 5 goes into Cypher's court. Another great rail. Av3k incredibly low. And he's got to be asking himself, what do I need to do to break through?
I mean, the interesting thing is that actually Av3k is the one doing more damage than Cypher. But Cypher has just had such a lock on the items. Like, look at this. That is a pretty sizable amount of self-damage right there. That's not just one little, you know, bits of plasma to deny it. That's really like, okay, I'm going to take, what, 20 points of 30 maybe even of self-damage just to deny this to my opponents? Cypher is so confident in the degree of control that he has right now. He's so insistent on not leaving up anything for Av3k, because he knows that he is rivaled, he's matched in terms of raw damage output, so it's the control that he needs to just set in stone and run to the end of this map.
And literally since we mentioned it, Av3k has not picked up a heavy or a Mega, so it goes to show the grasp that Cypher has here on the control in this matchup. Another LG battle just outside the telly near the, oh, you hate to see it. Peeker and Straw go down together, brothers in arms, I guess, but in life and in death. 8-0 now. Cypher, probably one of the lowest we've seen him all game, and it does give an opportunity here for Av3k to maybe break through, but he cannot, as Cypher's defensive damage is still on point, Flea.
Indeed it is. Damage is still pretty much tied exactly, but Av3k is just unable to get any of the items and the resources that he needs. I mean, Cypher right now has 25 major items. Av3k is at 4. That is a massive difference. So even though Av3k has a bit of a base stack advantage, he isn't allowed to pick up the resources that he needs.
What?
Okay. The peak with 3 points of health to secure himself the Mega. That has got to be the motivating for Av3k.
Oh, and I mean, so many different moments during this game. A triple dose of Tri-Bolt coming out there, and then here comes Cypher, and he knows that he has the frag there with the easy cleanup with the LG. Another rail coming out, and Cypher looks to be on point. Now, Av3k, also another player similar to what we saw in the Wenger versus Razy, totally able to reset, able to leave what happened in the previous map there and take it to the next one. But with 90 seconds left to go, it's looking like Av3k might go scoreless here in this first game versus Cypher. And while that's certainly going to help with the momentum, Av3k's just going to need a solid mental reset before going into game 2.
How often does that happen, Wheat? Av3k going scoreless? That's just
not often.
So out of the ordinary. He still has a minute left to get that one frag on the board. He's gonna try and make it happen now just to push off the spawn, but Cypher takes away the Mega, and Av3k realizes that he is outgunned at that point. Can't stick around. But this is most definitely... Oh my god. Cypher. This is Cypher wants another frag movie. That much is clear. Stringing together one frag after the other. And his control has just been superb. I think that's really what summarizes this game. I think we even touched upon it as it happened, We were like, oh, and here we go. 15 seconds between the items. Cypher now has control. And he just hasn't let go since then. Yeah. He's been in control ever since. All Av3k has managed to do is steal away 4 items, but never 2 in a row, never consistent, never without paying a price for it. And so Cypher has just been dominating this matchup. At the very least, Av3k gets that one frag to end it, but that will be going in favor of the Belarusian wonder, Cypher.
Yeah, I mean, it's a scoreline that you would not expect to see 16-1, but the tail of the tape there is that Cypher's control was completely bonkers. 18 heavies, 18 lights, and 16 megas compared to the 1 heavy, 16 lights, and 3 megas of Av3k. That is a big discrepancy in those items. And you mentioned the damage there early on, but it goes to show, right? Like, if you're dealing that damage in these little exchanges and you're able to get right back up to where you need to be to engage again, in some cases, Cypher was dealing less with that and focusing more on that control, because that is what was causing all of the issues for Av3k. Wasn't able to find those rails, wasn't really able to open up those opportunities. And now he's going to have to shut down map 1, leave it where it lies, and just move on to game number 2.
I think those light armors are actually just the best marker of the kind of control that Cypher had. Yeah, he also picked up all of the heavies, but the fact that he still had more lights than the person who spent the entire map out of control, like usually when you're the one picking up the heavy suite, that means that your opponent is free to secure all the lights. But Cypher just ate those up as well, and I think that just has a lot to do with the damage output from both of these players, that it was so similar. Cypher just took his fights perfectly, and yeah, he always took a lot of damage, but then he pushes on through, gets himself healed right back up, and in doing so, he actually denies the resources that Av3k wants off the respawn, and that allows him to just continue that cycle of control. Now, the second map, similar situation, Cypher once again playing the light champion. This time it will be Nyx versus Galena on Awoken.
Yep, and expect things to heat up here as well. I mean, will it be as wide of a scoreline as what we saw? It's certainly achievable. I think it's a little bit tougher to keep that cycle of control here on Awoken, but we've seen it happen before. This is truly, for me, going to be a test of, and watch this. You know, someone mentioned this in the last series between Razy and Wenger. Is they said, I don't know how you could lose like that and then still be composed going into those final 2 games. It's a skill that you develop as a Quake player, as a professional, gamer, and it takes a lot of time. So we're going to get to see, right? Av3k's talked about working on that and improving that for himself. We're going to get to see it firsthand, right? And the best case scenario would be Av3k brings this back, forces it to a 3rd game, and we're looking at a 2-1 situation. But there were quite a few folks there, a lot of the Cypher stands that said, listen, this is going to be a 3-0. And, well, Cypher's on the road to make that happen.
It was at 3-0 last time they played as well, so could very well be something to that. With that being said though, we are about to load into the second map. I think that predictions were live, so don't be afraid to put some of those points on the line. Cypher running Nyx, it's a champion that we've seen him do tremendously impressive things on. Very common pick on Awoken because that center area weed, that wall jump allows you so much mobility to traverse that T section, get to Mega quickly in a lot of different situations. But on the other hand, this is not a bad pick for Galena either. Plenty of places to hide your totem, and if you get 3 of those up at the same time, then your opponent's in trouble.
We're looking through Cypher's eyes here on the start as well, as he's going to pick up the Mega, and of course we'll have our items split. That means that Av3k picks up the Heavy, and looking to see what will happen here in that first frag, and if that will, of course, be the snowball that will allow one of these players to take an early lead. You can see the pace slow down just a little bit here as Cypher putting himself in that middle area. Very common to see this quite often. The rockets flying in, looking for this rail, and there it is. It lands as his opponent goes for that Heavy. Still grabbed it, but exactly what he wanted to do is deal that damage and not let him get too much benefit from that. Oh, and another rail through the drive-in window, popping up with a rocket jump as well to try to finish that one off. Waits down below, looks for a frag at the exit of the teleport. Doesn't happen, but finds them in the lightning gun room, and Cypher picks up the first frag.
Av3k had 2 totems set up literally in the bounce pad, but Cypher finds them, secures himself another frag just before the item spawns, gets himself the Mega, and that is 62% LG. That was just point blank. Cypher giving his opponent a hug, and the LG was just murderous. 3-0 up already. Look at this, Cypher setting up. Oh, and actually no!
Oh my god, dude!
Oh, that was something else. One to the face sends him over the edge, and then one more just for good riddance. Like, here you go, have one for the road. Cypher, you absolute madman.
Madman is exactly right. As Cypher finds himself the lowest that he has been in a while, gonna have to, you know, get more health there. Does find a few health bubbles, picks up a light, so is in a better spot now. But Av3k needs to use this window of opportunity to try to break through and make something happen here. We've got the Mega coming up in about 2 seconds. The Heavy was picked up by Av3k, so Av3k for the first time might be able to get double major item control here, and he does. So finally, Av3k finds himself like, okay, I'm not slipping around anymore. I've got a chance here, but look at this, 2 amazing rockets. The Ghost Walk is popped, and Av3k, again, doesn't really get a chance to make anything happen.
I also love how Cypher just made use out of the Ghost Walk to destroy the totem as well, because you don't take any damage while you can set them off, even though you're invisible. It's those little micromanagement kind of things that can help out a lot in the long run. That's a bit of a misplay from Cypher. I think he just wanted to drop down, but that railgun actually caused him to land on top of the bounce pad, opening himself up to 2 pretty straightforward rails, and now Av3k is building some momentum of his own. Good rockets.
It's exactly what he needed. It
Belarus
really
does not have a monopoly on the rockets.
Yep, and he really needed that to happen. He is going to pick up that Mega, uses that Ghost Walk, decides to stand his ground, takes a little bit of LG damage before he regrets his decision and then disengages. But 4-2, the Rockets coming out from defensively, and Av3k still manages to get that frag as he finally gets to show through his POV. 4-3 though, 1 frag game. And Cypher started very strong, but Av3k has kept this cool and is absolutely bringing us back in his favor.
Indeed, he is just 1 frag separating these 2 legends right now. Now, both of the major items are up at just about the exact same time, so this is going to be difficult for either one to get control of this. Probably going to be reluctant to make a play as well, since both ate a rail. Neither really has any armor to work with. So they're just kind of waiting it out, looking for an opportunity. Maybe Cypher can steal away the Mega. Maybe he's gonna see what Av3k does first. Av3k makes a move for the Heavy, so that will allow Av3k to get away with that while Cypher moves onto the Mega. Status quo remains the same.
Ooh. One additional second there, and Av3k might have been able to go in and grab it. But as he enters into the room, Ghostwalk is popped. And I love the way that Cypher is using Ghostwalk in this matchup. We've seen him use it defensively. We've seen him use it very aggressively. And then we've also seen him use it kind of like as a trick to throw off Av3k to make him think, okay, well, he ran away. And then suddenly he just appears right in front of him and manages to get that frag. So great job there by Av3k, waiting for his opponent to come on through. Lands a nice amount of LG damage, but Cypher coming back through on the underside and picking up another frag, making it 5-3.
Now Cypher is out of control. He's got to play a careful game right now. At the very least, he's got the Ghostwalk. So if Av3k catches him out, he has that escape ability at the ready. Oh, he caught a glimpse of his opponent. Last thing Cypher wants to do right now is give up any free rails. Now, luckily for him, like we discussed earlier, 2 items are too close to one another for one player to easily get both. And so Av3k, while securing Heavy, is actually giving Cypher an opportunity to pick up the Mega instead. Stacks are pretty much the same right now. Av3k has somewhat of an advantage since, of course, he's got that base boost over his opponent, plus he's got more armor to work with. But Cypher is definitely in fighting shape. Especially after that, he just takes away the Heavy. Av3k is there doing nothing. Out comes the rocket jump, falls a little short. I like what Av3k did. Av3k just went for the rocket jump straight away, knowing that Cypher, of course, can't rocket jump while he's invisible, to put some distance between him and his opponent.
It was a good play. As the clock is ticking away, we're officially over halfway through this game, and it's still very, very close. Nothing like what we saw on Molten, which was pretty much severe dominance here from Cypher, but Cypher keeping it alive, still hitting some great shots, great rails, and up by 2 as he comes up that jump pad. Another nice flick rocket here, and now he's going to take position back here in the middle. Both players sitting here with their Ghostwalk is up. And Cypher eats another rocket. And oh my gosh, through the teleporter, a beautiful rail. He does get tagged himself, but uses that Ghostwalk to get out of there. He's using the full utility of that ability for sure. And he is, he's taking some risks. They're paying off, but really impressive to see as more rockets come out. He's now trapped kind of in the corners. Got to be careful here. Rocket jump to get out of it. Can he get away? Oh! Perfectly placed rocket by Av3k, and he is now 1 frag away. This could tie the game up right here.
That was absolutely beautiful. Av3k didn't even want to stick around for that one. Just cool guys don't look at explosions. He sent it knowing that that's where Cypher is going to be. And then just makes himself scarce. And that was a really good play from Cypher. Didn't have a lot of health to work with, but just the positional advantage and the switch to LG at just the right time sent Av3k spiraling backwards just as he picked up the Mega. So Cypher was kind of undermined for the past minute or so, but he's still hanging on to the lead that he has. It's a fragile one though, Wheat. Only 1 point ahead of his opponent.
It's very fragile. I completely agree. And 2 minutes, and it's fragile for both players, right? Av3k has to play that perfectly balanced game where he's not reaching too far for that frag, but he's still extending and maybe taking risks that he wouldn't take. Cypher can't really just say, oh, cool, I've got 90 seconds, I'll just run around. He does have that Ghostwalk that will help out significantly. So, right, what Av3k's really looking to do is probably trying to get that Ghostwalk to pop and then using that window to then make an attack and try to tie this game back up. It hits a nice rail as his opponent goes for that Mega. And he's still looking pretty good on his stack, 100-100, as he's making his way through. Will do a little bit of damage to himself to grab that light as well. But 1 minute left to go, and Cypher's definitely going a little bit into turtle mode here.
And Av3k now has got a tremendous challenge ahead of him, because not only does he have to catch a champion that is much more nimble, much faster than he is, but he also has to deal with the Ghostwalk. which Cypher uses aggressively. And Avik is going to call GG after that one, just doesn't even want to try for the final 40 seconds. I must say, Weed, that rocket jump was incredibly surprising to me, because I figured that Cypher would want to, you know, hang on to that one in case Avik catches him out. He still only had a 1 frag lead with a minute to go, but then he uses it aggressively to just rush him down on Mega. This is like next level Cypher. This is supreme confidence.
I completely agree. And you know what? I mean, we go back to that tweet that came out from Cypher a little while ago, and you know, he mentioned that he was ready to step up his game. And then in last week's interview, Flea, he talked about how, you know, when life is good, when everything is kind of going the way that it needs to, and he's taking care of himself and taking care of his family and his friends, then that's usually when he's playing his best Quake. This is looking pretty good. Like, this is looking like some of the best Quake we're seeing from Cypher. So, you know, really goes to show how your environment can affect those things as well. And, you know, from his decision making to his aim, Flea, everything is going right for Cypher here. Avic's got to be feeling a little surprised. He did bring that much, much closer at one point, a 1 frag game, but there was so much. I mean, that double rocket out of the teleporter, like, wow. Wowie.
That's got to be a top 10 play. Easily. That's top 5. I mean, that was sick. And then Avic's reaction to that one as well. Good stuff. And that means that it will be Cypher who secures the overall victory. 2-0 already. One more map to go. Wheat, last one of this series, last one of the night even. Vale of Nav. And this time we're kind of swapping the roles, because for once Cypher actually has the stack advantage. He is playing as Sorlak, a heavy champion, and he's going up against Avik running the Ranger.
Yeah, and I mean, one other thing to point out is with this series win for Cypher, it means we're going to see an incredible... Well, we're already going to see this matchup anyway next week, Kilson versus Cypher. The exciting thing about it is it will determine the #1 seed more than likely. And as the stats update from this week, we'll know for sure, but that's going to be a great matchup next week. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if you're ready to set your calendar for Sunday, you know where to be because it's going to be amazing. We got to finish this series up there, and we're moving to Vale. You mentioned the stack difference here for Cypher, and I don't know if that will, you know, be a detractor for Avik, just knowing like I like the hill got a little bit steeper. Or if, you know, once again, we can have Avik kind of reset and just play the game that he needs to play. A map win here, not letting Cypher sneak through 3-0 would still be good for Avik's rankings.
Indeed, it would be. Once again, Cypher just going for the faster and more mobile champion. That has been a consistent trend this entire series, right? First, he goes Anarchy versus Strog. Okay, the difference between those two is not that great, but Anarchy is still significantly more mobile and also a fair bit faster. Then map 2, he runs Nyx versus Galena. Huge difference. And now, finally, he's again going for the second air control champion, Sorlag versus Ranger. So it looks like Cypher was just really hell-bent on picking those more mobile champions for this matchup, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can continue this onslaught and bring it home with a 3-0.
Yeah, as we start things off through Cypher's eyes yet again, these two meet up, and wow, the orb comes out, there was some spam, and then suddenly a shotgun just decides Cypher's fate, and Avik is on the board for the first time.
Indeed he is. He's got that 1-0 advantage. Will be able to secure heavy as well. He's got all the time in the world to make a play for Mega and deny access to Cypher. That's a lot of guts from Cypher. So aggressive. And I love what Avik is doing right now. Avik is just completely ignoring the Mega. Oh, rocket jump falls a tad short. There we go. He will clean it up in the end. But Wheat, this is tremendous right now. So many players would have just played, you know, the standard game. Okay, I've got position. I can take away Mega. He's running away. But not Avik. Avik, that aggression comes out again, and he just chases down his opponent, knowing that he can still fall back on that extra health.
Yeah, it also gave him full control of both major items and full timing as well, allowing a little bit of time to separate between those two. Very aggressive move here by Av3k as it works out a little bit, but then the spit eventually ticking it away. It won't matter though, it is still 2-2, but kind of lose and reset that control, which might have been better than trying to commit to that exchange. We'll find out in a bit. If he got that control once, he might be able to get it again, but he's going to have to work for it.
Indeed, he will. Luckily, he's still got plenty of time. We're only 2 minutes into this final map. But again, just look at that LG damage. Av3k, 52% lightning gun so far. Whereas
Wow.
cypher has barely even gone to use that weapon. cypher has done 18 points of damage. Not 1800, 18. Barely even tickled his opponent. Whereas Av3k is just dominating the midfield, the medium distance. And actually completely catches cypher by surprise. I think cypher just came through a teleporter with his back turned to Av3k, had no clue that his opponent would be waiting there, and he pays for it with yet another death.
Yeah, cypher's not looking, he's looking a little lost on this map. Someone drew a map, but it was done in crayon, and then it got all smudged, and he's trying to figure out, what to do. But that's partially the way that Av3k is applying the pressure here, and it is really interesting to see as cypher, for the first time, looks as if he is struggling here. And we've got an orb to just kind of seal the deal, but Av3k is going to increase his lead up to 4 frags, and this is the best that we've seen him during this series.
Nice rocket as well as he breaks away and just exits the room. That's a shame for Av3k. He was very much counting on landing that rail to give himself enough of a buffer to prevent cypher from just rushing in, because Av3k knew he was low, but he was just banking on landing that first shot and then picking up the health bubbles and knowing that he's got the better arsenal than his opponent. But that completely backfired, and that one little mistake, Wheat, that's all it took for cypher to now convert into full control himself and already make up 2 frags out of the 5 that he was trailing by.
And both players have done a great job capitalizing on the mistakes of the other players. The thing is those mistakes don't come out very often. So when they do happen, that is crucial that the other players capitalizing on those. We've seen that happen with cypher a few games and Av3k a couple as well. But it's a tall order to just say, well, don't ever make those mistakes, right? When you're playing this intense of a game of Quake, when a rocket bounce can kind of completely take your trajectory the way that you didn't expect, whatever that might be, it's very interesting. We do see the orb come out. cypher's going to wait outside of that teleporter, thinks the mega is up, and he was right. He's able to grab that, immediately now moving into full assault mode here versus Av3k. And now cypher feels like, okay, now I don't need that map anymore. Like, I've got a nice little handle on things, but dancing around the column in the middle, it's Av3k who's going to get yet another frag, 6-2, and he's holding on to that lead.
Indeed he is. Both players now extremely weak. It will be cypher. Cleans it up with the final few machine gun shots. Gets a mega for his trouble as well. This is far from over, Wheat. There's plenty of time for cypher to tie it right back up. But Av3k is looking glorious right now. Beautiful shot there as well, but that spit. cypher knows! Oh. cypher knew that his opponent was in so much trouble, but Av3k just absolutely went for it, recklessly jumping into the middle of the room, landing a beautiful top-down rail. And that's all that he needed to extend his lead further.
And I wonder if Av3k is thinking to himself, I need to take a couple of risks here, right? I need to do something that will throw cypher off of his game a little bit, and it's worked so far. Holding on to this 4 frag lead, still, as you mentioned, a lot of time. Heavy is up, battle for this big LG damage, and a rail coming out by Av3k, but he's very, very low. 33 points health. He's got to be very careful because there's a lot of time before this mega finally hits. He's going to get a little bit of health there, and will make his way over. grab a light as well as the Mega, and he's in much better shape than he was before. Able to set up for this heavy. Spit comes out, but huge LG damage, and wow, in the face. The orb comes out and finally gets the frag. 8-3. Won't be able to get the heavy, though, because Cypher's aggression off the spawn too much, Flea. And he able to take him down, maybe even with the second one. Nope, equalized again.
Av3k, 47% LG, 51 rail. He absolutely found his weapons for this one. He's basically ignoring the rockets completely. He's only landed 6 rockets so far, and he's just prioritizing the railguns into the LG. Because he feels that his aim is on fire with those two, and indeed it is. Now just going for the heavy machine gun, just look at that damage ticker go. 160 points in that engagement alone with the heavy machine gun.
Oh, that was such a sick orb through the telly and the rail to clean it up. 5-10, and Av3k is looking great again. I know a lot of people are like, wow, really surprised to see the way that Av3k is playing, but I think you should have been more surprised at just how strong Cypher's game is. Now Av3k showing that he is here too. He is a legend in his own right. That orb doesn't quite do as much as the last one did, and then the acid hit. A direct rocket, a follow-up, 5-11 with 2.5 minutes left to go.
This is very quickly getting out of hand. Cypher, his victory guaranteed, but it's shaping up to be a 2-1 rather than a 3-0 because Av3k is playing out of his mind. 1,500 points of damage more than his opponents. Better control, or at least pretty much tight control right now. Av3k does have significantly more of the light armor picked up, but other than that it's pretty much tight, so it's really just coming down to the damage in this final map. Neither player has just, consistently been running both of the items weed, but Av3k is winning the gunfights, and that's really what matters in a situation like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many fights over this heavy, right? And we might see another one here as Av3k sitting on top of it is now going to get out. He does pick it up, but immediately rail doesn't quite make it up to that top level with the rocket jump, but it really doesn't matter. He's got an idea where his opponent is, misses that rail opportunity right there, but he's got to be feeling pretty good about where he's at. Cypher not going to be able to make up 7 frags in a minute and 20 some seconds. And Av3k, although, kind of taken to school there in those first 2 maps, does bring it back. Cypher with a spit frag there with 1 minute left to go. It's likely Av3k is going to pick this one up. Might need to slow it down just a little bit. Avoiding these rails from Cypher. He's looking good to finally take away a map win versus Cypher.
Indeed, well played by Av3k. Just once again showing what an absolute beast he can be. Overall, a pretty solid showing. But yeah, it will be Cypher representing Team Na'Vi who gets the overall win this time around, and that is going to help him out significantly. Because let's not forget, these players, they're completely in the clear when it comes to relegation, but they are winning or hoping to win themselves a good spot. Top 4 in Europe means that you get to skip the first round, that you get a good placement when it comes to the finals. And that's far from certain for some of the top players as of now. So this is a really important win for Cypher, but Av3k, good on him for at least taking home that 1 map at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice way to solidify the matchup there. He would not want to have another 3-0 performance versus Cypher. Did manage to bring it back. Obviously would have loved the win. He's still going to be sitting at 6-3 in overall standings. He was number 2, but he's going to drop down a couple, but will still be in a pretty good spot going into the finals. I believe that Av3k has played all of his games, so that will have been it for this one. Yeah, and let's bring Lethal back in and see what he had to think, or see what he thought about the game.
Mate, I'm still trying to get over the first map. 16-1, 34 items. I literally barcoded into my brain just thinking about it so far. But it's nice to see the endpoint man Av3k was able to, claw his way back a little bit, managed to take off at least one map before he finishes off his stage 3 run, give him a little bit of, not hope, but a little bit of morale and confidence going into it as well. The last thing he wants to do is lose to a 3-0 series scoreline to anyone, in all fairness. But no, great stuff from Av3k overall. Nothing really too much to dissect apart from the first map was quite debatable. I'm sure there's a lot of mistakes he needs to rectify with the shopping list he needs to try and work on. But apart from that, though, no, very, very good indeed. Cypher just looking very strong. You said it before but a few weeks ago, Cypher did say that, yeah, look, I'm going to give it not just my A game, but give it like as S tier as it can be. And yeah, we've seen a lot of that, especially in that first map.
Good series. I think a very nice one to end the day on. Of course, I hopefully get to ask a few questions to Cypher. I think we're all excited to have him on here for a bit of an interview, so hopefully we can still make that happen before we close out the broadcast for the day. But man, these featured matches, guys, Razy versus Wenger and now Av3k versus Cypher, this was some top tier Quake.
It really was. I mean, I'm still reeling over that Razy Wenger game. It was so good. We saw Cypher and Awoken with another great series. And, again, as we head into the finals, these are just some remarkable matches. Every single game counts at this point for that ranking, but more for the prep for what is coming up, and that's the Stage 3 finals.
Yeah, we were seriously blessed today and went with the matches we had, even from the very beginning, discussing about the relegation for Kula, and Kula was able to secure his spot, even up to this very moment. But we do have an interview with Cypher to discuss how he feels about that matchup and maybe the future when he goes into the Stage 3 finals. Cypher, congratulations once again, able to close out that series 2-1. And first question I'm going to ask is, that first map, winning that 16-1. It's not every day anyone could do that in terms of the score line on Molten Falls, but also be able to bag 34 items, a huge amount of control. Tell me a little bit about your plan of action and how to be able to create such a dominating performance.
I was just, I think since the beginning I had a really good start, and then my rotations was pretty good. I also made up some kind of delay between Mega and Heavy, which I suppose Av3k didn't know. And all my fights on big items, I was first there, so I secured the position first usually. And somehow I managed to eat almost all of them. I don't know, I was surprised as well.
Cypher, congratulations. I just want to ask you a general question about your champion picks today. Yeah. It seems like every single map you had a champion that was faster and more mobile than Av3k. Was that something that you went into with like a real plan, like I want to be faster than him, or was it just something that kind of came together like that?
No, I didn't have such specific thought. It's just up to maps. I mean, I picked champ considering the map and the counter pick, and that's it.
Okay.
Cypher, congratulations yet again. We got a chance to talk last week, and you gave us some insight into kind of how you felt about, your game and preparing for the finals. What I want to talk a little bit of is actually to hear from you about how you feel you are skill-wise now versus the end of Stage 2 finals, right? In the final 2 games of that, you took out Wenger to fight Rafa in the finals. Unfortunately, wasn't able to grab a map. But would you confidently say, I am playing better Quake today than I was that finals day of the Stage 2 finals?
No, I don't think so. Maybe the finals. At the moment, I'm looking back to the finals against Rafa. And no, I don't feel like I play much better or better overall. I think I play the same. It's just how to say. I think since the new patch, with the crosshair blinkings and in general something happened with the aiming, and I start to feel LG a lot more. Like a lot more confidence in LG. Maybe this is the only one thing which is changed. Overall, I think not that much. It's because I already did a lot of work before, and I already get to that form I wanted, and right now I just trying to keep it and improve just the small things and be cool-headed. Trying to be
Great.
cool-headed at least.
Well, the LG is looking to be very much on point, so I'm glad that it's clicking for you, and congratulations again. We're definitely very excited to see your match next week versus Kilson.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It will be a really insane match. I already feel it.
Awesome.
We look forward to it. Yeah, congratulations once again, mate, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, we can't forget, still got one more match in hand, hasn't it? It will be against Kilson, so I'm sure that's going to be a slobber knocker in itself. So, not end of the road as of yet, still got one more match to play before he can work on his practice regime and how he's going to continue his path to, maybe even take the Stage 3 finals. We'll have to see. But before we go, guys, final thoughts. Flea, go on, I'll start with you.
I mean, it's been another beautiful day of Quake. We had some really important matches, right? Starting off with Cooler versus Sparty that effectively settled who is going to be playing relegation, who gets to avoid that. Then we also saw some key games over in the Americas that will go far into determining who ends up in top 4 there. And then we had some brilliant games to end on. Nasfa versus The Hang, beautiful. Razy versus Wenger, the Maestro boys, and then last, but most definitely not least, cypher versus Av3k, especially those last 2 series were some of the best Quake I feel I've seen in quite some time. So it was a joy, it was my pleasure to be part of this again, and I'm really looking forward to how this stage is going to wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all the players. They are obviously putting in the blood, sweat, and tears to deliver these incredible matches every single week. And, very excited not only for our final week, but as we then roll into the finals. We heard it from Cypher directly. He said that this game versus Kilson is going to be one that you are not going to want to miss. So we hope that we see you back here, same bat time, same bat channel, because next week's going to be awesome. The final week before rankings are sealed and we head on into the finals.
Yeah, it's going to be some incredible stuff indeed. Of course, thanks to Fleet and DJ Wee, as always, joining me throughout the entire course of the week. I was going to say we're blessed with some incredible matches, but we've got some incredible matches every single week, so we can't really complain in the slightest. But not only that, thanks to Bethesda and the PGL production, as well as you guys, the viewers at home, tuning in every single week to keep us company and keeping you entertained to the best of our ability. That's it for now, but same time, same place next week. We'll see you very soon.